Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic and a medium. Thank you for joining me today. Okay, well, we asked for your questions and you gave them to us. So we have a lot of questions that I am now going to ask my spirit guides basically in real time. I don't prepare these questions or anything in advance. I simply read your question, I ask the spirit guides, and I tell you what they say in real time. So the first question is from bootcandee. Now we got some great questions, you guys. I mean, really and truly, I may have to break this into two parts. If I do, I hope you'll also tune back in for part 2. So bootcandee says, can you see if one or more of the SCOTUS Justices has paid a woman to have an abortion? They just have a feeling about this. Now, it's very important how you ask the question. So your question specifically was, has a justice paid a woman to have an abortion? I think that could also mean, has a justice paid for a woman to have an abortion? You also, Spirit is saying, does this question also include during their time on the bench? Or at any time in their lives? So you can see, right? Like, the answer is yes. The answer is yes. I can tell you that right now, but there's a lot more to it than that, okay? So there are some justices that have paid for a woman, literally out of their own account, checking account, credit card, whatever, paid for that woman to have an abortion. The answer is yes. Now, also, are there Republican justices that have paid for a woman to have an abortion? They were involved. This is what I'm telling you. The question is very specific. They were involved. They had sexual relations with this woman. The woman came and said, I'm pregnant. And in that framework, this man, yes, paid for this woman's abortion. And yes, I just heard a law clerk, maybe during a law clerking time, one of these people did do that. Also, I know that somebody's parents paid for an abortion, meaning this was done during college, and the man responsible had their parents pay for this abortion. And that's not the same person. They're two different people. They're both men. Also, the next question would be, has a Supreme Court justice ever been party to someone else having an abortion while they were on the bench? So I just took your question and expanded it quite a bit. Because there's all this information that's coming in. And yes, while they were on the bench, I want to make really, really sure. I'm going to say I want this to be a Republican, but I'm going to open this up to Democrats or Republicans. I don't know. Was this guy? See, when I'm connected to Spirit, I don't have access to Susan's memory banks or files. So I don't even know if this guy was a Democrat or a Republican, but he was party to an abortion while on the bench. Okay? Now, I'm going to give you the names of these people for entertainment purposes only and allegedly. Okay, I feel the need that I need to cover my rear end here. So I'm going to tell you that I wrote down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 justices. 5. And I'm going to tell you that 1, 2, 3, 4, I think, are currently on the bench. And I'm actually going to tell you that one of the justices is a woman. And that woman had this procedure as part of a health Okay, it wasn't dire. It wasn't like this person was going to die, but it was chosen to be terminated because of some abnormalities with the fetus. That's what they just told me. And I would also say, okay, thank you. Okay. I would also say that woman is new on the court. And you guys might have to parse this out, but I have to be careful here. YouTube is watching my channel a little bit more. They're now slapped a thing on me that some of my videos can only be watched by people over 18. So I just want to be careful here. Okay. So I need to rework that because two of those justices that I talked to, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 justices. 2 of them are no longer on the bench. Okay. 2 of them are no longer on the bench. 3 are on the bench. Okay. So that's a lot more than you asked. And I wish I could just tell you, but I really feel like I might get in some trouble and I'd rather not. So thank you so much for putting up with that 6 minutes of basically just like, I don't even know, not being able to string 2 words together. Maybe that's what I was doing. Okay. Thank you for your question so much, Boot Candy. That was a great question. All right. Becca Lynn, thank you for your question. The hard questions are right up off the top here. She says, hi, Susan, your guides warned us that it was going to be a wild ride this summer. Is there any more crazy to come? Yes, there's a lot more crazy to come. Again, I try not to tell you things that I don't think are helpful. Remember when the guides talked about, and I think this is I think it's in the title of the video. They talked about being smash and grab, right? This is what the Supreme Court is doing right now, is smash and grab. If you think about like a smash and grab crime, they smash the window, they rush in, they grab everything they can, and they run away with it. That is what's happening on the Supreme Court right now. It's a smash and grab event. They've smashed the protocols, the precedents, the traditions, in my opinion, the laws, or reinterpreted the laws, let's just say, or they're legislating from the bench. And now they're going to grab as much as they can. They know their time is limited. They know they're not going to be on the court for long. They know that they're going to be, they know that they have a time limit and they're trying to just get as much as they can done. So throwing out abortion, throw out gay rights, gay marriage, throw out, the Miranda laws, throw out the gun laws, throw out everything they can. And I really do believe that also means, the Board of Education, segregation. I believe that they will do as much as they possibly can. If attorneys will feed them cases, they will be happy to overturn them. So yes, there is that part of our summer, which is just maddening, and frustrating and crazy making and all those things. So that is happening. The other part of our summer is that, and it's very hot, right? So when it's hot outside, people are just trigger happy. They're just easier to make mad. We're often crime goes up in the summer. So we've got that going for us. It's hotter than usual in many parts of the country. Also, because of what the Supreme Court is doing, many groups are taking to the streets and protesting. That is drawing out counter protesters. These counter protesters are their whole point is to have skirmishes. Their point is not to stand there and counter protest. Their point is to interact, is to cause havoc, cause mayhem, cause violence. Okay? Last year, there were a lot of provocateurs, a lot of people that were militia people that posed as Antifa people and did violence and broke windows and, basically did damage to businesses and storefronts. And this is evidential. I mean, this is proven. You can expect more of that. these provocateurs pretending to be something they're not, creating a flashpoint. Again, they used flashpoint in the last video about abortion, I think. We're in a flashpoint this summer. You are going to see civil unrest. You are going to see pockets of violence. You're going to see crabby, cranky, angry people. I think there's a question about this somewhere, because all I do is copy them and put them in a Word document so then I can scroll through them. The other things you're going to see this summer are weird. Still, we're having weird supply chain issues. The guides have talked about this for months. It has happened, but not on the scale that would get attention nationally. So what they've been talking about is this sort of problem with our meat, problem with safety around meat, around dairy, they just told me. So we are going to have some safety issues that are going to cause some supply chain issues, much like the baby formula supply chain issue. So you may have a period of time where it's very hard to get chicken or beef or pork or something like that. They're showing me there might even be a processor that processes some different kinds of meat, which I don't think is typical. I think mostly you have no, they're correcting me, so I'm going to stand corrected. They're telling me they're meat packers, they're meat processors, and they can process different kinds of meat. That's what they're saying. So what they're saying is it may not just be one type of meat. So you might see some shortages, okay? That's going to make people mad, right? That's going to make those people, the Trumpers, whatever, and or just people trying to, look, you don't need another thing to deal with. You've got high gas prices. You've got, you're really hot. Maybe you don't have AC, or maybe your AC is not keeping up, or maybe you can't afford your electric bill. And now meat is gone missing. It's again just going to make people crabby, expect people to have quick tempers, lay low. Their advice is lay low. Take those stickers off your car if you don't feel comfortable with them on there, drawing attention to yourself. Take your signs out of your yard if you don't feel comfortable drawing attention to yourself. Be very careful if you go to some sort of protest or march. We are looking at violence, people. I'm going to be very honest with you. It's not going to be every march, and it's not going to be all over the United States. It's not going to be a civil war, but there are going to be pockets of violence. Okay? We've seen it before. We're going to see it again, and we're likely to see it a little bit more. And they're showing me this is happening more towards July, August, September. There's something going on around July, August, September, specifically August and September. There's probably some charges that are going to be levied against Trump, his kids, Bannon, the usual suspects. And then that's going to trigger their people to go out and get in the streets, or to trigger them to counter protest more, and things could get more out of hand. I hope that makes sense, Becca Lynn. Thank you for your question. Carla B says, do Spirit see the House starting any impeachment inquiries for any of the Supreme Court justices? So this is a remedy. I mean, let me be clear. Let me be very clear. Okay. Nancy Pelosi and others, House leadership, do want to have impeachment inquiries begin for some of the Supreme Court justices. Perhaps not for the reasons that you think. I don't think these, because, let me back up. I'm trying to be clear. Because even though the House could start impeachment proceedings based on the fact that Amy Coney Barrett and Kavanaugh and whatever, that they lied. But that's really a waste of energy and time and effort. And the House has already invested so much energy and time and expense and effort in the Jan 6 committee hearings. They're tired. They want a little break. Okay. They're in a very serious mood. They're in a very serious mood. They're in a mood of fact finding. They're in the mood of, due diligence is the word I'm hearing. So they're not going to go after the justices for this, for misspeaking or whatever. I mean, they could make up all kinds of ways to get out of that. That would just be, a Mickey Mouse, circus hearing. No. They realize, the House leadership realizes that they have America's attention, and they realize that they currently have power that they can yield in a way that they have not ever, they're telling me, not ever had this kind of power with this kind of ability to yield it. So in that vein, I do believe they may start impeachment proceedings against Kavanaugh. But this, again, will not happen until August or September. There is information that they've uncovered that they are, and I'm doing this video at 12:45 in the afternoon on the 28th of June. I know they have a hearing coming up in about 20 minutes. I don't know what the hearing, I mean, I'm focused on this, but it's interesting that they took my attention to that. Okay? For whatever reason. We're talking about Kavanaugh. I was talking about the fact that the House Leadership Committee in their hearing has uncovered, in this broad investigation, they've uncovered information that they have shared with the FBI and the CIA. And this information, some of this information has alerted them or uncovered some potential alleged wrongdoings that could be criminal regarding some of the justices. Okay? Right. Jenny Thomas and Clarence Thomas. So Clarence Thomas could be one of the targets. Kavanaugh is more, for entertainment purposes only, in my estimation, seems to be more money related. Of course, Jenny and Clarence Thomas seems to be more, I don't know what that word is. It's moral. It's, criminal. It's, where they've ethical. There's beginning to be evidence uncovered that show that there's real crimes. Okay. So, they may start, those types of, impeachment hearings, and it's not going to be over what you think it is. So that's very interesting. Thank you for your question, Carla B. Dani Hass, your question is, back to the Supreme Court justices. In your last video, you talked about 2 justices leaving Supreme Court this summer. Can you elaborate on that more? Which ones will it be? Well, I just talked about Kavanaugh and Thomas. Now, these are 2, that I think are the most likely. And I already had this vision, which just irritated me to no end. And I wish I could get rid of the visual, but I can't, of Jenny Thomas, that smile that she has, that's so like a sneer. And she's laughing at everybody saying, yeah, well, we'll just, claim the 5th, and Justice Thomas will step down from the bench, and that'll be that. but all the while knowing that she got away, smash and grab. She got away with so much. She does not expect to be arraigned. She does not expect to be indicted. So I do see Thomas going. I do see Kavanaugh going. I honestly think that Kavanaugh has, why am I saying this out loud? Anyway, I'll say it. We'll just let the chips fall where they may. I think that Kavanaugh has gambling debts. He's got, they use the word proclivities, whatever that means, but I think his money tends to, his money slips from his fingers. Okay. It's like an addiction, right? For entertainment purposes only, again, and allegedly, and any other thing that I need to say to legally, hopefully keep this, just pretend that I'm Fox News and I can say anything I want. Okay, where's my questions? I'm sorry, I really got off the... I do want to say one thing about Amy Coney Barrett. I don't see her being on the court for long. I just don't see her spending the rest of her living days on the court. I'm not sure she'll be this year, but, there's a skeleton in her closet, and Spirit has been saying this since the first video I ever did about her. There's a skeleton in her closet, and if you'll remember the first question that you guys asked me, I think that might be the skeleton in her closet. I think she might be one of the female judges that they were talking about. Wouldn't that be shock and awe and disgusting and pathetic and, again, it's all, the theme seems to be, I can do it, but you can't. That's the theme of, the power, right? Let them eat cake. Like, I don't care. I can do whatever I want, but I'm going to legislate you to not be able to do it. Or I'm going to get away with this crime, but nobody else can. This seems to be this energy that keeps perpetuating with these people, is it not? Thank you for your question, Dani. Debbie McCarthy says, hi, Susan. I know you've answered this more than once, but will the Dems really take over in November? I read that over 1 million Dems have changed their parties to Republicans. If that is true, I'm scared for us all. Debbie, I don't know how else to tell you. You got to understand that if I was scared, I would say I'm scared. I'm scared a little bit about violence this summer. I'm honest about that, right? I have no qualms telling you that the Dems are going to take the House and the Senate. I have no qualms. It's going to happen. The question is, by how much? We should take it by a huge margin. We should win 60% of our races, if not more. Now, we probably won't because of gerrymandered districts and voting intimidation and, what's the other thing they were trying to say? And voter rolls that have been cleared where you show up to vote and your name is not on there. So those three things, and I'll also throw in, I do believe the guides have told me on multiple occasions, and specifically they're showing me McConnell and Lindsey Graham, that the votes were, manipulated, that the voting machines were manipulated. So due to all those things, the guides have said this video after video. It's 20%, you guys. It's the max is 20%. We need 20% more votes than we need. 20% of our votes just aren't even going to count, even though you're over there putting them in there. So we need to overcome. We need to vote in numbers large enough that cannot be manipulated. Okay? We are going to win the House. We are going to win the Senate. We're going to keep those majorities. We're going to add more seats. As we get closer, all of us will be able to give you a better idea about how many seats. But the potential is there for a blue wave. Now, I will tell you, because I feel like I want to clear this up from the last video. I think it was the abortion video. You guys, please hear me when I say, first of all, I'm not against baby boomers. I know Spirit said things about baby boomers. I'm channeling. I don't know what they're talking about. I watched the video just like you guys, and I'm amazed. Okay. 1-800-SPIRIT Guides. Hit number 1 for complaints. Number 2, these kids, the blue wave, are kids. And let me tell you a secret. They're not Democrats. They're voting for Democrats because they have to. It's the only game in town. But they don't like the Democrats and they hate the Republicans. So after this vote, the Democrats, for the love of God, please let them wake up and understand that they have got to include the interest of this younger group of voters. Because they're saving our butts this time. But if we don't listen to them and incorporate their values and their needs and wants, we're going to be in big trouble in the presidential election. Okay? So hopefully that makes sense. And that's why, never mind. Okay. I'm just not even going to keep talking about it. Okay. Because they can go on. Spirit can go on for freaking ever. Okay. All right. Pat Lee says, can we U.S. citizens sue SCOTUS because they lied under oath when they said they would not overturn Roe v. Wade? No, we cannot. We cannot sue SCOTUS. They can, it's all a bunch of, hearsay. They can say, well, we meant this, or we can't sue them. And if you watch the video until this point, you understand that we're not likely to even impeach them based on those grounds because we have better things to impeach them on. They're going to pay. It's going to be okay. I mean, right now, the crooks are in the jewelry store and they're smashing all the cabinets and taking all the jewels. So yeah, it's chaos. We're in chaos land. And then we have to call the police and get the police to investigate. We've got a lot of work to do to put those laws back. But it's going to happen. It is going to happen. We are going to fix everything. We are. I promise you guys, we are. This is not a one-way road to the bottom of the well. It's not that. We're free-falling right now. We are free-falling. It's scary. Not going to lie. But I see how this movie ends. And in the end, at the last minute, the very last minute, somebody helps us and we stop. So it's good. Dusty Rose says, since we know Trump and Rudy are not above partaking in any kind of criminal behavior, my question is, were Rudy G and Trump involved in what happened in New York on 9/11? Listen, so the guides intimated this as much in one of the last videos, that Rudy, when I go into this energy, wow. They say they knew. I'm just going to leave it at that. They say they knew. I was going to tell you because the question is, did they know before or after? Right? And your question is, were they involved? Okay. So Spirit is saying they knew. Now, were they involved? Did they plan it? Did they, take steps? I don't think so, but they knew. I don't know how criminality, I don't know how that works. I don't know if that makes them criminally implicit or not. I don't know, but they knew. They knew about it. That makes me want to throw up. Okay. But I'm connected to Spirit, so I'm pushing Susan's emotions to the side. So even though my stomach just did 2 backflips, I'm back. I'm back, and my stomach is not backflipping anymore because I just reconnected back with Spirit so that I could not experience the anger. Okay. SW says, every day it seems the Supreme Court. My God, all these questions are about the Supreme Court. Every day it seems the Supreme Court is siding with far right-wing agendas. Now Justice Thomas wants to make it easier to sue the media. How extreme will this rogue court get? Well, again, I've been talking about this. It's smash and grab. They'll go as far as they can. They can only rule on cases that are brought before them. So we have that in our favor. If we allow these court cases to get to the Supreme Court, they'll go as far right as they can. The energy suggests They don't care. They're above the law, and they don't care. They are now doing what they came here to do, and they don't care if they sit on that court for the rest of their lives or if they get tossed off the court. They don't care. They don't care if they're removed from the court. It doesn't matter to them. They're getting done what they came here to do. And they're willing to take whatever consequences that happen. And that makes it very scary, right? That makes the situation all the more perilous. But I think we knew that, right? I mean, come on, look what they're doing. They're not following any precedent. They're not following settled law. They've gone rogue, just like you said. And they're willing to go rogue and strike down any law for as long as they can. And what's that question then? Thomas wants to make it easier to see the media. How extreme? Your question is how extreme will it get, but not how long will they be in office, right? Or on the court. It's a matter of, come on, you can do it. It's a matter of not public safety. It's a matter of national security. It's a matter, they just told me it's a matter of national security to get them off the court. Wow. I don't know what that means. But, so when I asked them again, I said, well, so while I was talking to you, I was talking to them, and I said, will Kavanaugh and Thomas, right. Okay. Well, Kavanaugh and Thomas going off to court this year, will that help us stop the rogue? Yes, it's all going to come to a head. This is the problem around September when I just feel like America is kind of on fire. It's kind of in this, so fire can ruin things, and it can reduce things to ashes, but then out of the fire, out of the ashes, the new seedlings come up. This is the whole message. This is the whole message for everything we're going through. Not to go on some diatribe or off into left field, but in the last few days, Spirit has been telling me that America is going through something very similar to Ukraine. Ukraine is being pulverized, but from the ashes, they've always told me that the phoenix would rise from the ashes, and Ukraine would be rebuilt bigger, better, more beautiful, and more stable than ever before. And Ukraine would be this symbolic country of democracy, of fighting for democracy, of standing up for what you really believe in, for freedom. And that's what's going on here in the United States. So, I don't know how to get back to where I was because I'm channeling, but they're showing me, they've often talked about dissolution, dissolving. The Supreme Court is dissolving. We're going to get rid of these two justices, and then next year we'll probably get rid of Amy Coney Barrett, if not before. And then we'll have 3 justices. Maybe that's why Biden and Congress is not trying to pack the court. Maybe they know that these justices are going down, and rather than risk inflaming more Americans and causing more civil unrest by packing the court, maybe they know that all this is going to play out. Maybe they already know that the House is going to have impeachment hearings. Maybe they already know that the FBI and the CIA are investigating these justices, and that this is all going to get taken care of. It's going to get taken care of, but probably in September, and that is going to be another flashpoint. I hope that all made sense. Okay. Whoa, that was deep. I could get lost into that rabbit hole. I really could. Okay, so, all right. Dorothy Moore says, hold on. Thank you, SW, for that question. Dorothy Moore says, hi, Susan. I've begun wondering about the Equal Rights Amendment. Again, will it ever become part of our Constitution? Yes, it will. It's going to have a new name. It's not going to be called the Equal Rights Amendment. But it will be a part of our Constitution. The question that we should all try to ask Spirit is not will it ever? Because that's an easy yes. Okay. But like, will it be a part of our Constitution in a year? Will it be a part of our Constitution in 5 years? So try when you're talking to Spirit to be very specific, and you'll get more specific guidance. So if I re-ask that question, will it ever become part of the Constitution? If I re-ask that question, will it become part of the U.S. Constitution within the next 2 years? Yes. That's about an 85% chance. A lot of things have to happen, okay? While I was talking to you, I was seeing all kind of things, okay? So I was seeing the blue wave coming in, and then they got to get busy. When they get in office, when they get in these seats, in these Senate and House seats, they have to get busy. If they don't get busy, it's over. Toast. We are going to be expecting them to use that mandate and knock bills out of the park, one after another after another. Just ride roughshod over the Republicans. We cannot look for consensus. We cannot allow them to tell us what to do when we're in the majority, when we have a super majority, which we very well may have a super majority. We're just going to have to do it. I hope and pray. That's the 30 or 25%. That's that leftover percentage where we might not have an ERA amendment, is when the Democrats get in there and pretend like they don't have a supermajority. Okay, I hope that made sense. Okay, thank you for your question. I really appreciate it, Dorothy. And Leslie's Garden says, hi, Susan. I appreciate your channel. Thank you, Leslie. Can your guides... Oh, my God. It's just the same question about the ERA. Okay, and a different person. Great. Well, we had a twofer there. All right, thank you for your question, Leslie. Gail Kaplan says... Hello, Susan, and thank you for asking for our questions. Okay, I'd like to know if there's Roe versus Wade reversal was enough to inspire President Biden to pack the court. So we just talked about this. I think I answered that. I will ask the guides. Sometimes they give me a different perspective. I would just tell you that if... Why is my head tingling? I will just tell you that if we cannot pin enough crimes on Thomas and Kavanaugh, and we go into next year with this same Supreme Court, he'll have to pack it. I will say that. He'll have to, because we'll have the votes as well in the Congress and the Senate, and we'll have Biden, and we'll pack it. It's one way or the other. We're going to change the Supreme Court. Trust me. Then, because it dissolved, then we have to allow for people to have to bring those cases back before the Supreme Court. We have to go through all the same process, right? We have to bring the abortion case back to the Supreme Court and have them rule on it again. It's going to be interminable. It's going to be slow. But this is what we have to do. Break it all the way down to nothing and rebuild it back up. Okay. I think it has to do with our Pluto return. You astrologers can write comments about that. Okay. Thank you for your question, Gail. And Seascape, thank you for your question. Says, here's another Supreme Court question. Do you think Justice Roberts will make amends by retiring after the midterm, giving the Democrats a gift to elect their own Supreme Court justice? Seascape, thank you, dear. I appreciate you. I know you're a longtime viewer and you're a longtime commenter, and I really appreciate it. So please don't take this the wrong way. But no. And don't take it the wrong way that the guides are laughing because they're justice. I think because we're good people, we often see good in others, or we try to find that good with a magnifying glass, or maybe an electron microscope. I don't know. But no, Roberts is not going to retire. What Roberts sees when I go into his energy is he is. So if you imagine a man sitting in an old covered wagon, and there's a team of horses, 8 or 9 horses in front of you, and the horses have gone wild. They're literally drug you off into the mud. They're going through the swamps. He thinks that his job is to lead those horses. So he's going to try to get them back on track. And he believes he can. He believes with his whole heart and soul that he can, because he believes that it is his absolute duty. So he's going to die trying. He's not going to retire. He's actually going to die trying. He's going to try to get them back on track. So no, he's not going to retire ever. He's not going to retire ever. He, maybe, and at some time he'll be moved out of the leadership role, or maybe even he will be removed for some reason. But not likely. Okay. Thank you so much for your question, Seascape. I applaud your beautiful soul for thinking that. Let me tell you. Okay. Question from A, literally the letter A. Hi, back to you. Could I please ask about the pandemic conditions for the rest of the year and these upcoming new updates? Vaccines set to be released in the fall. Okay, what I know about this is what they've always said, and they've been very accurate about the pandemic in the past. So they've always said, and they're continuing to do so, that this will be an endemic, that we will learn to work with it, we will learn to live with it. We will make it less deadly. It will become less deadly, and we will make it less deadly. So again, this is what they showed me a while back, is that we're going to be taking those pills, whatever those pills are, that I don't even know if they're out yet, but you get, this is what they've said, and I'm going to just say it verbatim, as I say it every time. You have symptoms. You go to a clinic. You are validated in your symptoms. They give you these pills. I think there's 2 of them, and I think you run a course of these pills for a couple of days. And then at the end of that course, the virus is now attenuated, or at least it's to a level that's not detectable, and you're not spreading virus anymore, and you go back to work. So it's actually handled even better than the flu in that way, in the sense that the flu can knock you out for a week and blah, blah, blah. So there's a really good way to handle this. Now, I'm going to give you a caveat to that, because you guys know that I'm very honest with you. It appears that even though we will get very matter of fact about this virus, because we're handling it, I don't know what the word, they're maintaining it. I don't know what that word is they're using. But anyway, we're dealing with it. There's still going to be a small percentage of people that will develop long haul syndrome. That long haul symptom syndrome. So that's the part that I don't like about going forward. Yes, we're going to live with it, you guys. We're going to live with this virus. That's just it. That's all you need to know. We're going to learn to live with it. It's going to kill less people. It's going to make less people sick. But there is that small component about the long haul syndrome that they have not cracked that code yet. Okay? Does that help you? Does that answer your question? Pandemic conditions? I think that answers your question. We're going to live with it. We're not going to change our lives. I mean, that's just, that's evident, obviously. Thank you for your question, though. I really appreciate it. Susan Robinson, thank you for your question. Here's another one. Okay. Did Susan Collins and the others really believe that the potential Supreme Court nominees were going to keep Roe? Okay, I'm going to talk about Susan Collins because that's one that you mentioned, and I can go into her energy. When I go into her energy, you know, she is very, actually what you see is what you get. She's two-sided. She's two-faced. But it's not nefarious. It's not like those people that are two-faced because they have a hidden agenda. She's two-faced because she's wishy-washy. Because she is afraid. She has a lot of fear. She's afraid of her voters. She's afraid of her donors. She's always trying to make everybody happy. Let me make them happy. Oh no, somebody's unhappy. Oh no, That's how she feels. Oh no, you're unhappy. She's very jumpy. Her energy is very like, fritzy. So she really did believe. She's not, I don't see her as having this nefarious double-sidedness. She's not that smart. She's not that deep. She's a pawn. She's a tool. And she's a people pleaser. But she has masters. She's a puppet. So she doesn't think deeply, or care deeply. She is a bought and paid for. Wow. That was harsh too. Whew. Okay. Thank you for your question, Susan. And the others, I don't know, because I would have to go into each of everybody has their own energy, and I'd have to go into their energy. But I would say that, some of the others did know that she was lying, did know that he was lying. They are the the Federalist Society's coming to my mind. They knew this was already, the gig was in, the deal was set. Of course, Lindsey Graham, McConnell, they don't care about abortion. They care about those big fat checks that roll in. Okay? So does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Okay. Thank you for your question. Cindy P. Cindy P says, why would SCOTUS risk reversing Roe v. Wade knowing Dems would show up in November in record numbers? Why would they risk that? Were they bought or compromised by anyone? Which SCOTUS members do I see living in the court in the next year? So I've talked about the last question, and this is kind of the confounding question I think that we all have. Or maybe it's just me. I often think, why are they doing this? It's just like the guide said in the last video about abortion. The Republicans are shooting themselves in the foot one toe at a time. And why are they doing that? Now, the Supreme Court, I understand. It's smash and grab. It's like, okay, we know once we repeal Roe v. Wade, we've got to just take everything we can. We have to strike down as much as we can. And then we're going to walk off the bench. We already know our fate is sealed, is what they're saying. Now, with the Republicans, it's not that clear. It's not that easy. It's not that clear and easy. So with the Republican Party, okay. All right. What they just told me was, okay. Right. Okay. All right. So some of it's hubris. Okay. And to be honest with you, the Republicans have been planning this for 30 years, since before Reagan, but specifically Reagan, Tip O'Neill, all those people, Newt Gingrich. It was a relay race. Here, I'm going to do as much as I can. Give the baton to you. Give the baton to you. They had this plan. And the plan is and I've always been clear about this, and it's very controversial, but I don't really care. Their plan is about race. Their plan is about white men controlling everything. So white man is number one, white woman is number two, and then you go down from there. This is their plan to get control back. Look at what they're doing. They're controlling women, controlling women's bodies. Look at what the Republicans have stood for. For-profit prisons. They've taken away a lot of poor people's rights. They really want to keep people on the meager edges so that they don't have power. What did they do? Take the power away from unions. It's all clear. We don't want to see it. We don't want to believe it. I don't want to believe it. But I'm sorry. I now say the primary reason for being a Trumper is you're a racist. Your primary reason is you're a racist. Maybe you're also a misogynist. Maybe you're also a lot of other things. But that is why. So when you look at all of this in that view, you can see that they have redistricted everything. It's very hard to vote Democrat and make your vote count. There's so many Democrats that go to the polls that have been gerrymandered out of having a real vote for their real city, their real town, maybe even their state. It's an art. Look up Red Map. I've talked about this before. Red Map. Look it up. How many decades ago did that start? They proclaimed it publicly. They're not shy. They said, we're going to redistrict America so that Republicans always win. And here we are. Here we are. Now, these people believed that because they owned the Supreme Court, because they owned a lot of the states, and through, gosh darn it, through the voting, the Electoral College, very heavily weighted towards Republicans. They've done everything they can to make sure that they could do whatever they wanted and never suffer a consequence. So here we are. What the last thing they didn't count on, because this is like criminals that are stupid, right? They always think they have all the answers. They always think that they know everything. Hubris. This is what's going to be their downfall. They're not counting, first of all, they made women mad. Not Republican women and not Democrat women. They made women mad. They're going to lose a lot of Republican women, and with those women are going to go some Republican men, and they're going to vote D. Number one. Number two. These kids that I've been talking about in the abortion video, if you didn't watch that video, all of these kids, and I'm talking about anybody over 18, but I'm talking about specifically people between 19 and 35. They're going to vote. And they've never voted before, and they never cared about voting before. They've never cared about voting before. But they're going to vote. And not only are they going to vote, they're going to get in the streets. And they're going to stay in the streets because they've had enough. They've had enough of their school loans being so high that they literally can't qualify for a mortgage because their interest on their school loan is so high that their actual payments are insane. They're tired of having had their entire existence in school be one of fear and fraught with danger and having shooter drills. They're not really ready to bring kids into this world. They don't want to get married. They don't want driver's licenses, and they've dropped out. And now, that energy that was, F it, I'm over this, I'm dropping out, has now switched to anger. So these Republicans have thought that these kids that are in their basements and in their mother's rooms, bedrooms, whatever, in their house, in the garage, playing video games, couldn't care less, they counted them out. They counted them out. They decided that they were a non-issue, not a threat. Well, now they are. Now, I'm going to tell you also, this is something I said or Spirit said. When I say I, just take it to mean them because I'm channeling. This is something Spirit said last year. They're reminding me. And this is really interesting and intriguing. Okay. Spirit does not get involved in humans' matters. We have free will. Now, the only time Spirit gets involved is if we're going to do something nuclear, because nuclear is going to disrupt the energetic vibration of not only this planet, but the solar system and other solar systems and other galaxies. And that's a no-no. We're free to kill ourselves and do whatever we want to do down here, fine. Now, the other way that they can get involved is if our humanity on Earth gets so dark, so violent, that that darkness becomes so big within the planet, that energy of darkness becomes the preponderance, the majority, overtakes the balance of light on the planet, they're going to get involved, because our planet will then energetically not have the same energetic wobble. We won't be emanating the same frequency. Now, there's a lot of give and take to this frequency. The frequency can change by whatever amount that I don't know. In other words, it can be out of balance. It cannot be too out of balance. We are now getting to the really close to a point of being too out of balance. And they talked about this last year. And Spirit is now putting their little spirit finger on the scale to help us come back in balance. So I feel like Spirit is helping these Republicans be stupid. They're helping these Republicans shoot themselves in their own toes. And they're helping these kids wake up. Wake up. Wake up. They're waking them up. Right at the last minute. I just said earlier in the video, they're going to let us fall. We're in free fall. We're going to fall pretty far. At the last minute, somebody's going to save us. Spirit. This planet is not supposed to go to the dark side. And they're not going to let it go to the dark side. Now, I will be honest with you. You and I don't like roller coasters, and I've never wanted to jump out of a plane. But I feel like I've jumped out of a plane, and I feel like I'm not sure that I remembered to get the parachute on. I feel like I'm free falling. That's what this energy feels like to me. So despite the fact that I'm telling you it's all going to be okay, I also want to validate for you and to you that yes, it does feel like we're free falling. And yes, it is going to feel like that this summer. And there are things that you can do to help yourself get through this. Unless you are a thrill seeker and you want to ride that ride all the way to the bottom of wherever the hell we're going. If you're that person, go for it. Wear goggles and a helmet. If you're not that person, the advice still stands that they've given you almost in every video, and that is to disconnect. Disconnect. If you want to tune into the news every day, then you're on the roller coaster. You're feeling those lows, you're feeling those highs. You're feeling those lows, you're feeling those highs. That is going to wear you out energetically by the time we get to September, when all hell breaks loose. And you're not, what are you going to do then? You're already exhausted. You can't handle it. Are you going to have a mental breakdown? What's going to happen? Are you going to get sick, physically sick? Let's not do that. Let's take the summer off. Disconnect. Take the summer off. Get you a hobby. Learn to read tarot. Learn to read oracle cards. Spend a lot of time in nature. Reconnect with those friends that you've lost connection with. Spend time laughing. Spend time partying. People say, I can't party. The world is going to hell in a handbasket. It's not going to stop if you don't party. It's not going to stop if you do party. Up to you. You can strap on your goggles and your helmet, and you can plummet and come out the other side. No worse, no better. You know, why not? Let's come out the other side better. Because I need you guys. We all need you. We need you to be able to have the energy, to be able to have some sanity, some ability to see the hope, to be able to see the light. We're light workers. We are supposed to be emanating light. And we do it, whether you know it or not. You're just naturally emanating light. However, if you can disconnect from these low energies and frequencies, you can emanate more light. You can send out much greater, more energetic light. And that bigger, more energetic light is going to help people. It's going to lift people up. And when you're sending that light out, you don't even have to try. Because in here, you're happier, you're calmer, you have the joy. You know everything is going to be okay. You're sheltering in a storm. You're just taking shelter. Disconnect and take shelter. So that when it's all over, you can come out and enjoy that sun and spread the light. So with that, I'm going to have to do a part 2. And part 2 is really fascinating. There's some really good things here. There's a really good questions I'm just going to share with you. Some questions about Pence. And why did Pence do the right thing in January 6th when he's done the wrong thing so many other times? You might also ask the question, that same question about Liz Cheney. Why is Liz Cheney being the hero in January 6th and then applauding Roe v. Wade being struck down? What is up with these people? So these are some of the things we're going to cover in part 2. We're going to be talking about Kristi Noem in South Dakota. We're going to be talking about Social Security. There's a question here about, will Social Security survive? There's a question about the Republican states certifying their elections. This is a really big deal. A really big deal. This is part of the shock and awe we're going to have this fall, is some of these Republican states just saying, we're not certifying this vote. We're not going to do it. We have suspicions. So that's another question we're going to be talking about in the part 2. There's still a lot more questions to get to, so I hope you tune in, but I do want to thank you for watching all the way to the end of this video. I hope that what the guides tell you is helpful. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We're going into a really dark time in America, but we have to. We have to do this. We have to dissolve some institutions. It's not going to be pretty and it's not going to be fun. That's why they really want you to take care of yourself, because we have to rebuild it. So we need you to be okay, sane, well, healthy, ready, so that when we're in the rebuilding phase, we can all be a part of that. We can all be a part of rebuilding the Supreme Court, because we will. Rebuilding Congress and the Senate, because we will. Passing laws about ethics. Passing laws that tighten these people's ability to get dark money, following the dark money, getting it out, rooting it out. Citizens Incorporated. These are the things that we're going to go back and get right, because we are going to have new trust, and not only new trust, but well-placed new trust in the Supreme Court, in the new Supreme Court. Well-placed trust in our judiciary, well-placed trust in our House and our Senate. And we're going to clean up some of these states. So this is all coming for America. It's a time of change. But we're going to make it right. Thank you so much. So much for watching to the end again. Take good care of yourself. I'll be back with part 2, probably a few days after part 1. Okay? Just keep your eye out for it. Take good care. For entertainment purposes only.